Most people nowadays think about Wolverine. They usually think about three things: the claws, the anger, and unfortunately, Jean Grey. Yeah, the last one is kind of my problem. Lately, my TikTok FYP is filled with the exact same conversation over and over and over again. Yo, why is the Logan and Jean ship back? We don't need Cyclops getting cucked again. This is propaganda, yada yada yada. Ever since X-Men 97 came out, that conversation has been everywhere. It was like a wildfire, but it died down a bit. But now with the Wolverine PlayStation game coming out and bringing that dynamic back, it's trending so much. And honestly, I agree. That dynamic is absolutely terrible for Wolverine, and with the X-Men finally coming to the MCU, the last thing I want is Marvel looking at Wolverine and going, "Yep, let's make him the guy who's been chasing another man's girl for the last 30 years. We do not need that whatsoever." And naturally, when people say that, the follow-up question is usually, who should Wolverine end up with? Storm? Mystique? This girl, I forgot her name, she was forgettable. My answer is,
oh my god, who the hell cares?
That's like the least interesting question you can ask about Logan. The better question is, who is Wolverine supposed to become? Logan has lived for over 2 centuries. Eventually, you should probably grow as a person. You should become wiser and more restrained, you know, like a regular adult. And somehow, the adaptation that understood that and executed it better than almost everybody else was one of the least comic accurate. I'm talking about X-Men Evolution. So today, I want to show you why I genuinely think Evolution should be the blueprint of all Logan adaptations. It showed us that Logan never needed Jean Grey or any permanent love interest to be interesting. The character just needed to grow up and evolve. Y'all like that? Y'all jacking it? No? Anyways, Logan trusts very few people, and after everything he's been through, can you really blame him? I think we should all take a page from his book. Now, I'm not saying you need Wolverine level trust issues, but online, a little healthy skepticism goes a long way. It's getting brutal out here. There's fake emails, scam websites, phishing links, people pretending to be someone they're not. It's like there's a million Mystiques out there waiting to get you. Luckily, Logan has adamantium and a healing factor to protect him, but we normal folk don't have that, so we have to protect ourselves a little differently, which is why I partnered with NordVPN. Look, most people know Nord because of its VPN, and don't worry, that's still one of its core features. Whenever you're using public Wi-Fi at school or at a cafe while traveling, or just browsing from home, it encrypts your internet connection to help keep your online activity way more private. But what I really like, you know what? No, love, is that it's grown into an all-in-one digital security app. Alongside the VPN, it includes a privacy-first next-generation antivirus with Threat Protection Pro. Instead of only reacting after something happens, it helps identify scam websites, phishing links, and dangerous downloads, intrusive trackers, and many more malicious ads before they become a bigger problem that you need to solve. Considering on how many scams today rely on people pretending to be someone you trust, that's a feature I love. So if you've been meaning to take your online security a little more seriously, this is a huge stepping stone. So use my link in the description to get an exclusive deal plus 4 extra months, and it's completely risk-free with their 30-day money-back guarantee. Again, that's the first link in the description. A huge thanks to Nord. Now, let's get back to Wolverine. Before we talk about Jean X-23 or how the show created the foundation of how we see Logan today, we have to talk about the first thing Evolution absolutely nails. It understands where Wolverine belongs within the X-Men. Now, I know that sounds weird to some of my viewers who don't read comics. Wolverine is arguably the most popular X-Men ever. Okay, what am I saying? He is the most popular X-Men. Bro had my generation literally calling him X-Man when we were kids. I know y'all remember that though. He's the character studio put front and center, especially during the 2000s and 2010s. So logically, you assume the best way to use him is to give him more screen time. But Evolution does the exact opposite. It lets him sit in the background, which can make him feel more important at times. This isn't Logan's origin story with the X-Men. This time around, most of the X-Men are aged down, and he's already over 200 years old. He did all the Wolverine shenanigans like fighting in the war, burying friends, y'all get it, he's been through a lot. He survived more violence and death than most of these kids can even comprehend, so why should he be competing with teenagers for the spotlight? Their lives are just beginning, meanwhile Logan has already lived several. His role in the show isn't to dominate the story, his role is to prepare the characters for it. Which is why making him a background character works so well. He gives the younger X-Men room to actually become fleshed out characters. Scott actually gets to become a leader instead of just being the boring guy standing between Jean and Logan. Jean gets to develop beyond being somebody's milquetoast love interest. Rogue, Kitty, and Nightcrawler get to make mistakes and grow from them. This time around, Logan doesn't hog the spotlight because he's the most popular in the room. He lets the next generation have the spotlight, and ironically, that makes him feel more mature and developed than every other version that puts him at his center. It also makes him feel more dangerous. His absence creates value and mystery. When a character is constantly on screen, you get used to them, you know? Their entrance loses potency, and how they act becomes predictable. But evolution is selective with Logan. They choose his roles meticulously and they work so well. The show knows that the second he steps forward and becomes prominent in an episode, you're gonna pay attention. Usually, when he's the focus, one of three things is about to happen. He's about to give somebody a piece of wisdom that they desperately need. He's about to give a heartfelt moment that will be remembered by fans for years. Or, my personal favorite, somebody is about to get laid the fuck out. That gives him this almost mythological quality, you know what I mean? It's a much more powerful version of Logan. It's better than someone constantly fighting to prove he's dangerous to the point where it feels performative and corny. Like, for example, what version of Logan is actually scarier? The one screaming every episode trying to prove he's the toughest guy in the room? Or the quiet soldier that barely says a word, but the second somebody pisses him off, they already know it's over? I'll take the second one every single time. His restraint is intimidating. And to me, that's the first sign that the show understood something deeper about him. Wolverine shouldn't be reduced to being older than the X-Men by number alone. He should behave like somebody who has already lived through the phase of life they're currently entering, regardless of them being teenagers or adults like they usually are. Yes, Logan should have his brash qualities, but it needs to be balanced with unmatched wisdom and restraint, you know what I mean? Or else he feels like a 200-year-old man-child with arrested development. Once you establish Logan as that emotionally mature, one of his core traditional characterizations suddenly sticks out like a sore thumb: his obsession with Jean Grey. Here's where I think Evolution completely severs itself from the animated series. It completely removes the storyline that I think has held Wolverine back for decades. Now, before anyone starts typing and hating on me, I'm not saying Wolverine should have never loved Jean Grey in the comics. That story has its place, it's important. What I'm saying is it shouldn't define his character, which 97 does too much. Once you really think about it, it's kind of sad. If it was sad in the way of where it's, you know, tragic, I would let it slide, but it's just sad in a pathetic way. It's to a point where it's almost emasculating and creepy. Logan is one of Marvel's richest and most layered characters, yet somehow adaptation after adaptation keeps reducing him to the guy who wants another man's girl. Like, bruh. At this point, Scott and Jean are locked the fuck in, and Logan keeps showing up, ending up in the chair again and again and again. It's getting brutal, bruh. Give it up. I fucking hate this shit, bruh. Hence why I love what Evolution does. It doesn't try to rewrite the love triangle by making it more palatable, it removes it entirely. Jean's a student, Scott's a student, and Logan is a teacher. Conversation over. Because of that one decision, Wolverine instantly becomes more interesting. It removes the constraints of being defined by the one woman he can't have. Instead, he's defined by the people he chooses to help. That's what a great adaptation does. Not every time you have to implement a dated storyline into the plot just because it's comic accurate. Sometimes it's good and even better to take creative liberties. That's why just how Evolution Wolverine is loved, Hugh Jackman Wolverine works too. Ain't nobody cares about comic accuracy when it comes to Hugh Jackman's Wolverine, besides like the suit. All that is because he feels like the ultimate Wolverine. Sometimes respecting a character means changing them. And in my opinion, Wolverine shouldn't end up spending a century chasing someone who already made her choice. So, what happens when you stop writing Wolverine around Jean Grey? You have to answer a much harder question. What's next? He's lived for over 200 years, he's already done all the relationship stuff as well as the killing. The question is, what does somebody like Logan actually want out of life anymore? And I think Evolution was one of the first adaptations that had an answer. X-23 gets introduced, and a lot of people forget this, but Laura didn't originate from the comics, she originated in the show. Honestly, I think that tells you exactly how the writers saw Wolverine. They weren't sitting around asking, how do we get Logan back with Jean, or what big giant monster can he kill next, or anything like that. They were asking, where does he go from here? Where does his life go from here? Because eventually there has to be another chapter beyond the status quo. Fast forward a couple years and look where Wolverine ends up in pop culture. People celebrate Logan for becoming somebody worth looking up to. Take the movie Logan for example. In the movie he's exhausted, beaten down, and carrying the weight of 4 lifetimes on his shoulder. Then Laura walks into his life and maybe for the first time his story isn't about himself anymore. It's about what he leaves behind. That's what people think of Wolverine now. That's something the Jean Grey storyline could never give him. Nobody walks out of Logan saying, man, I wish there'd been more Jean Grey love plot or fucking love triangle or whatever. One story keeps Logan looking backwards while the other finally lets him look forward. To me, that's a way more interesting Wolverine. All that pain and trauma Logan went through finally means something. It turned him into the kind of man the next generation could lean on instead of run from. That's the Logan I know and love. That's the Logan my generation knows and loves. And that's the Wolverine I want the MCU to build and expand upon. We already seen the love triangle, we already seen the angry loner, We already seen Logan running from his past. It wasn't a good movie. Plus, to be honest, that version of Wolverine is starting to get a little dated. I want to see the guy that's finally built something worth leaving behind, because after 200 years, that's where his story should naturally end up. There needs to be evolution in order for Wolverine to work, and that's what I feel 97 and the PlayStation game are forgetting. One version of Logan spends his life looking in the rear view while the other finally starts looking forward. I know which one I'd rather watch, and I'm pretty sure I know which one y'all would too. Thank you so much for watching, family. I know this video was a little rough. I hope you enjoyed it though. Comment down below if you agree or disagree, and like and subscribe for more content, plus turn on post notifications so you get notified every single time I post. Another thank you to NordVPN. Please go check them out, family. It really supports the channel. Anyways, I'm gonna catch y'all in the next video. I love y'all.